and start to maybe write in that column we created on the right and say, or give it a score, however you want to do it, because here's the list of the 12 resources we asked them about. So which of these do you think probably rated the least? People knew about them the least out of all their responses, and which one do you think they knew about the most? Which one is the highest score and the lowest score?
Highest and probably either be like their email list or My Life, My Community, like the website.
Okay, IFSP email list updates towards the top.
Right
Okay,
here.
so maybe in the do you know about part, let's say should be high awareness.
And then this. Okay.
And you said the lowest awareness would maybe be what? Maybe one or two of those.
I would say this, the virtual meetings, just because, again, of the nature of our staffing.
And so you can add a reason too, if you want to do like a colon or semicolon or dash and say, I think this might be lowest because of staffing issues for these councils, or I think this is highest because we spend a lot of time and money on, these letters. So reason is helpful too, to go with your hypothesis.
Let's see. Effort. Awareness, staffing. Then awareness, why? Regular use.
By the program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we do I don't know, like I feel like I put something out constantly and we constantly tell folks if you unsubscribe, you're gonna have to resubscribe.
Yeah, and we even have a spot, we can even add on there, we have a spot, so I would probably do a period there and say, additionally, people can request to get on the email list during the survey. I know they provide their name and email.
Yeah. And then low awareness, how
So probably did not use was probably the highest.
very useful. And then staffing, how would you rate? Maybe somewhat useful. Because we just got them going again. Okay. Just making a note about the count low awareness, like they only reconvened in April.
Yeah, that would be helpful information to know why you've kind of theorized that it's low awareness. If there was a hiatus in the council's meetings or something to that effect, it would definitely affect people's awareness of it and usefulness of that. What about any other ones? I know you had mentioned peer mentoring, and I think the peer mentoring was one of the rates that you're tracking. Picking out the key players is fine from a list, because then you kind of get into these mid-level ones where you're like, well, I don't really know. You don't have to necessarily give each one a hypothesis or a rating before you look at the data. But I think the ones that
the key
you
ones
really think should be high, either because they are a compliance indicator. I think that might
Yep.
be an important note in there as well. Just because something has low awareness doesn't mean it's not valuable. So it
Right.
could be that very few people know about this cool resource, but the ones that do rated it really highly as very
Mm,
useful. So
that's
that can be
true.
a hypothesis. We could see that in the results. So don't think just because
That it's a
few people
negative thing.
know. And do you think that because of your own experience with the resource or anecdotal information you've heard, or what kind of evidence, you know, not data related, do you think would support your hypothesis?
Well, I mean, just from like a where I sit, I'm like they would not be putting all of this. They would not be trying to get funding if it didn't work, if it wasn't useful in some way. I just don't know what is causing it to not be super high.
Mm. So is family mentoring, VCU Center for Family Involvement, is that a cost intensive resource compared to like an email update, which is probably
Um,
low cost?
yeah, yeah, it's a whole
Okay.
thing.
It's a whole thing.
It's
Okay.
like my life, my community, and peer mentoring.
Right. So I think it's also helpful too for the reader to know a Facebook post or an email update. It doesn't really cost our program a lot to do that, right? It costs someone time and energy to do that.
Me.
But something like a VCU Center for Family Involvement resource is probably cost intensive, right? To kind of set that
Hmm.
up and have all those things that go with that. And
Yes.
so not all the things on this list are equal.
Right. Right. They just fall under this list because these are things that we do, or we partner these resources. These are things that we ourselves do, or we
Right.
have partners who help us.
So I wonder if we could kind of think year after year, we would like to see our cost intensive resources being having increased awareness and high, somewhat useful or very useful ratings. Because I would think it would be a problem if people didn't know about these or if they did know about it, they rated it as not at all useful.
Right.
Like it's one thing to say, "Oh, I don't know about Facebook," because people may not use Facebook
Not everyone
or
has it.
they know about it, but they don't really use it.
Hmm.
But something like a peer mentoring Arc of Virginia or, one of these other cost intensive resources, I would think, especially over time, you would want to see high awareness and useful ratings.
Yes, yes. And like,
So that's kind of the hypothesis, then I guess. That's like that one sentence, our elevator pitch, if you will. Like if we
hmm
if we got in the elevator with a commissioner and he said, "How are those resources going?"
hmm and you want to be able to
Instead
give
of,
them.
yeah, here's our one sentence update. Well, we would like to see our cost intensive resources have high awareness and very useful ratings increase over time. And then he says, "Okay, thanks. I got to get off here. Bye."